Sorry, I had to tire my cat out so he'd stop making noise. Welcome back to the Spectral Frame. Today, we're getting into the new horror outing from Australian directing duo the Philippou brothers, Bring Her Back. That is Danny and Michael Philippou, not Michael and Danny. Get it right. Right off the bat, I have a lot to say about this movie, so I will be spoiling a lot of major plot points throughout, so this will be your one and only warning for spoilers. If you don't want spoilers, just click off the video. I won't cry. Well, I'm gonna cry.
Listen. Some people believe the spirit stays in the body for months after death. We can bring her back.
Bring Her Back is the Philippou brothers' follow-up to 2022's Talk to Me, which is a movie I liked tremendously. I think it made my top 10 from that year. I really like this movie. With Bring Her Back, we have a less visual hook, there's no, creepy hand, but this movie is haunted in lots of other ways. This is good, actually. I think my complexion looks a lot like the poster. This movie is about teenager Andy and his visually impaired sister Piper, who get placed with a foster parent after their father tragically dies in the shower. It's pretty traumatic, but this foster mother, Laura, is kind of a weird, eccentric lady. She listens to a lot of loud music, she's really kind of bubbly and kind of in your face, but also strange and manipulative and underhanded. Laura recently lost her own daughter who was blind, so she immediately takes a shine to Piper while kind of being hot or cold with Andy. Sometimes she seems really loving, and another times she seems kind of backhanded and cold with him. It's really strange, but the cherry on top of this entire weirdo sundae is a young mute boy who also lives in the house with them. His name is Oliver. Something is fucking wrong with this kid, and not just in the medical sense. Laura keeps him locked up in his room when she's not home, and also Andy notices that late at night, she'll take him out to the shed that she has padlocked during the day. What goes on in there, we don't know yet, but Oliver also happens to have these kind of episodes.
What are you doing?
After one of these episodes, we see Laura grab Oliver, rush him into her room, shut and lock the door. She blasts music and puts on this videotape where she watches some bizarre ritual that she uses to calm him down. The tapes feature this mysterious cult-like practice that involves dead people, bringing dead people back to life, consuming corpses. It's really intense looking and really disturbing looking, and also kind of sticky looking. I don't know why. Everything just looks sticky. Gross. What we come to find out is that some kind of demon, or what Laura calls an angel, inhabits Oliver's body. She's using him to enact this ritual that she will use to bring Kathy, her dead daughter, back to life, but in Piper's body. It's so f***ed up and really proves that boomers will do anything to avoid therapy. Anyway, that's the major conceit of this movie, and I didn't feel like I could really appropriately talk about it without laying some of that groundwork. This movie definitely has less of an innate hook than something like Talk to Me has, but I do think it really dives in pretty deep. So with that, I'm gonna get into my likes.
How did you cope with Kathy being gone?
I didn't.
First on my list of likes is the writing. There's a lot going on here. This movie sets up a lot of characters and lore and things going on all the time, but it all's wrapped up pretty well and feels really streamlined. There's a ton of little hints and setups that we get in the beginning of the film that really pay off at the end. I don't feel like there was any loose ends, and with a movie like this that's so robust, I feel like it's easy to lose a lot of threads, but everything feels pretty tight up. I think what I appreciate most about the script is how it handles the lore. There's some deep lore going on here, and it's worked organically into the film. We don't stop and have some expert explain everything going on. It is slowly revealed throughout the runtime of the movie. We don't know immediately what's going on. We're introduced to these tapes and these freaky images and this little boy and all these things, and all these elements are really slowly revealed little bits at a time, so by the end, we really understand what's going on without feeling like it was spoon-fed to us. We felt like we were discovering discovering it along with the characters. That is really hard to pull off with something so intricate. And while we're given what we need of the lore, it also doesn't over-explain anything. I feel like there's enough mystery left for us to kind of wonder and talk about after the movie. It's really engaging, and I want to see more in this universe. How did Laura abduct the real Oliver? How did she get a demon into him? How did she get these tapes? Where did she get these tapes from? There's so much more I want to know about this world, but I didn't feel like anything was necessarily missing from the movie that we saw.
We're gonna put you with a foster mum called Laura. You're gonna love her.
Next on my list of likes is the acting. Sally Hawkins is so good as Laura. She's like that perfect mix of creepy and weird, but also endearing.
I know I'm a weirdo.
I could see how this character kind of lures people in, but also keeps other people off of her scent. In less skilled hands, I think this role could have been played way over the top, but Sally Hawkins really rides that line between creepy and endearing and manipulative and charming, and she just nails it here. Now, if you've seen any of my reviews, you know that I'm pretty wary of children actors, and especially children actors in horror movies. It's not their fault. They're trying their best, but sometimes directors don't know how to utilize children and make them good on screen. Here, we do not have that problem. These kids are great. Billy Barrett does a fantastic job as the older brother, Andy. Andy's the 17-year-old kid who's in that weird stage of his life where he's kind of looking forward to the future and being an adult, but also is dealing with the grief of his father and maybe having to take care of his sister. There's a lot of grown-up things he's having to deal with while also dealing with the uncomfortability of like yourself and your body and things like that as a teenager. It's a hard line to ride, I think, but Billy Barrett does a fantastic job and really sells me on the angst and turmoil of Andy as a character. Playing his younger stepsister Piper, we have Sora Wong. I honestly found a few of her choices a little cheesy, but I looked into it and it turns out that this is Sora Wong's like first performance, maybe ever. It turns out her mother saw an ad looking for a visually impaired young actress, so Sora went and tried out for this role and got it. First try. I think generally she did a really good job, but knowing that this is really kind of her first big performance of any kind, I think she did fantastic. And lastly, playing the little mute boy Oliver is Jonah Wren Phillips, who is supremely creepy. He has that dead-eyed stare and like lumbering posture that will keep you up at night if you're scared of children. Or scared of anything, I guess. He's scary. There were some bursts of violence from this kid that made me feel genuinely disturbed, and I can't wait to see him in more roles.
Just needed someone to get given special care.
You lock you in, Ollie?
Next on my list of likes is the direction. With Bring Her Back, the Filippo brothers have really upped their game. Talk to Me was a great outing, but I think here we get so much more detail and such a clear, keener eye for the material. It's so much more immersive and mysterious, and again, with the lore, it's all told through visuals instead of like expositional dialogue. Their shots were creative and gritty and gloomy, and I think really helped sell the sense of dread that just spread over the entire film. This is a dark movie. There's one particular example that I have in my head that I thought was really clever. Andy, the brother, has a lot of trouble with his crappy car, and so he tapes the side view mirror on all the time. It's always falling off, and in one scene he speeds off from the house and the mirror just drops off and falls into the mud. But later, when there's a scene outside of the house, we get a shot through that mirror reflecting Andy and his struggle with Laura, and I think it is clever visually, but also reveals a lot about what's going on from a bigger perspective, thematically. I just felt like there was no wasted shots, everything was intentional, and I can't wait to see what the Filippo brothers do next.
I think there's something wrong with Laura.
Oh my god, what is it?
Last but not least on my likes list was the makeup and the special effects. This movie was disgusting and had a number of moments that made me absolutely squirm, like, I was crawling in my skin, dude. Bring Her Back is full of creepy moments and scares that aren't gore related, but the blood effects and the gore and the horror in that department were very well done and very, very uncomfortable. A lot of those moments have to do with the little boy Oliver. There's a moment where he's like chewing on a knife and he pops a tooth out and slices his lip open. There's a moment where he's like chewing on the countertop and these different things and it's breaking his teeth. teeth off, and it's just so gross. There's also some body horror things in here too. There's a lot of blood. It is a truly messed up movie visually, and the effects, I think, were seamless. Like, ooh, buddy. If you have a weak stomach, just fair warning for this movie. It is not for the faint of heart. There's so much to like about Bring Her Back, but for now, we gotta get into my dislikes.
Welcome to your new home. This is my daughter's room.
My first dislike has to be the pacing. As the movie unfolds, I think we're building a lot of mystery and suspense, but we don't really start to pick up momentum truly until the beginning of the third act. There's a particularly tense sequence at the house where things finally come to a head. Laura punches Piper, blames Andy. Andy says, "I've had enough of this shit. I gotta go to CPS," or whatever Australia's version of that is, so he takes off out of the house. Laura realizes now's the time I have to start this ritual to bring my daughter back. She drops Piper off to keep her busy while she prepares, but while she's gone, Oliver, the little demon boy, he gets out of his room and starts munching on inanimate objects. He's like ravenous. He even starts biting into his own arm. When Laura gets back to the house, Oliver tries to eat her, but she's able to quell him with a little bit of the ritual stuff she did before to stop one of his episodes. At the child services office, Andy begs them to believe what he's telling them about Laura, but they don't question her fitness at all because she actually used to work for them.
Oh my god!
We feel all this momentum coming to a head, but the movie slows way down to see Laura clean and get everything ready and get Oliver taken care of. So when CPS and Andy come to check on Laura, the momentum's pretty much gone. Then we have to build it all back up again for the finale. Is it the worst? No, it's really not that bad, but it definitely made the movie feel a lot longer than it actually was. Next on my list of dislikes is the suspension of disbelief. There's a lot of moments in this movie where you have to rely on characters either doing nothing or questioning nothing. My girlfriend and I talked about this for a long time afterwards, and there was a lot of instances when you think about it, like that even a teenager would be like, "Hey, hold the on, I have to call somebody." This child, like Oliver, the little boy, when he eats a knife and he pops out part of his tooth, he runs outside, he has convulsions and stuff like that. You would think Andy, being a caretaker of Piper, would also just call an ambulance or something. Call anybody. And obviously we do get to a point in the movie where people are doing things and speaking up, but it takes a long time to get there, and I don't know, some of it you really just have to buy into the movie. I didn't really think about it as things were going on. It didn't bother me in the moment in the movie. There's a little kernel in the back of my head, but again, if you think about it for a bit afterwards, some of those things become a little bit less believable. I mean, there's a lot of up in this movie, straight up. And that's really it for my dislikes. I like this movie quite a bit, so we're gonna hop on over to IMDb and see what other people are saying about this movie, the 10 stars and the 1 stars.
I gotta tell you a secret. It's like a little angel.
Alright, as of this recording, Bring Her Back has a 7.5 on IMDb, and yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. I'd probably rate it about a 7.5, maybe 7.7 or 8 if I'm being really micro and nitpicky. Our first 10-star review comes from Nahan306. Bring Her Back is a masterclass in filmmaking and another standout horror triumph from directors Michael and Danny Filippo. It proves beyond doubt that Talk to Me was no fluke. This is a beautifully crafted, exquisitely shot film. I definitely agree that this movie proves that the Filippo brothers know exactly what they're doing and have a really great handle on their material. That is undeniable. The entire cast delivers, but Sally Hawkins is absolutely unapologetically terrifying. This is the horror film to beat this year. Heart-pounding, skin-crawling, and impossible to look away from. Sally Hawkins definitely has one of my favorite performances of the year so far. She is so good in this, and I want to see her in more horror projects. She absolutely crushed it, but I will disagree that this is the best horror film of the year so far. I think Sinners has that by a good chunk, but this is definitely original and definitely heart-pounding, and I agree with a lot of this, but it's still got to beat Sinners. Our next 10-star review comes from IEC 84886. Be warned, this is intense. not for the faint of heart, but an amazing movie. I went into this movie 100% blind and was so caught off guard. As a horror fan, I love stumbling upon masterpieces on a random Friday, but I was also not prepared for what Bring Her Back had to offer. Yeah, I definitely agree with this. I went into this movie also without knowing really anything about it other than two kids who lost a parent go stay with a foster mother, and I was blown away. I was definitely not prepared for this movie. It's bleak, it's miserable, it's unrelenting, and unlike Talk to Me that had some kind of fun and games built into the premise of the movie, this doesn't really have that. It is pretty much miserable from start to finish. That's what it's supposed to be, and it definitely leans into that for the thematics of the movie. It's about grief and loss and all this stuff, and it's just a really bad time, but an incredible horror film. But with those glowing words out of the way, we gotta look at some 1-star reviews. Our first 1-star review comes from Kevin Chang 5. None of the conflict in this film would have happened if Andy called the police or spoke up when someone got significantly hurt. Like, even if the optics looked bad based on his past, isn't it more alarming that Laura kept Oliver in his room without any hospitalization despite eating a knife? So I understand this point, obviously, it was in my dislikes section, but I don't think it warrants a 1-star for the entire movie. I mean, there's some logical leaps I think you do kind of have to make, and again, you do kind of have to suspend your disbelief, so I understand what this is trying to get at, but it's a horror movie. Man, relax. Like, not every horror movie is plausible. This deals with summoning children into other children's bodies and things. Like, you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit, so I think giving the movie a 1-star based on those kind of things is a little rash, but maybe that's just me. Our last 1-star review comes from ENOKIH. I saw nothing but disgusting stuff. Not scary, not interesting. The intrigue is solved in seconds if you have ever watched a horror movie before. I didn't sympathize with anyone except the cat, the chickens, and a little with the girl's brother, although he, according to the precepts of the movie, started to act dumb towards the end. I completely disagree. I think this movie was really, really interesting and honestly pretty scary. And I like horror movies, but I wouldn't say I'm scared by them. This definitely made me feel really uncomfortable and kind of creeped out. The only thing I think I can agree with a little bit is that I did kind of know what was going to happen. Like, it was set up early and I had an idea of what was going to happen, but I do have to say I had no idea how it was going to get there. And there's a lot of curveballs this movie throws at you. So even if you think you know what's going to happen, maybe it does happen, I still think it got there in a really interesting way. So I obviously disagree with this, but I can understand a little bit of it, but it is scary, and I think it is interesting. If you're a horror fan, I think you'll love this. I don't think it's typical at all, so I don't know. I think more original movies like this need to be made, so whatever. It's just not for some people. Definitely not this person, so I don't know. So would I recommend this movie? Absolutely. I think this is a really great, unique, and original horror film, but don't go in expecting something fun like a Blumhouse goofy horror film. This is pretty heavy, but I think the horror fans really will like this. Again, there's less of a clear hook like Talk to Me, but this movie will probably stay with you. I know it had me thinking about it for a few days after, and definitely made me feel like crap, so yeah, I guess prepare for that. So what'd you think of Bring Her Back? Did you like it? Did you hate it? Are you excited to see this? Are you not excited to see this? Let me know in the comments. That's what they're there for. If you've made it this far in the video, thank you so much for sticking around. Make sure to hit the like button if you like it. Hit the subscribe button if you really like it. It's free and helps prevent my corpse from being eaten by a demon-possessed child. Again.